Welcome back to the Makers Can Learn YouTube channel. My name is Tanner Bell and I am so excited to have you here tonight because we are going to teach an amazing class. And y'all, I'm fired up. Like, I just want to put you on notice that I'm fired up tonight and that I am super excited to be here with you. And my promise for this maybe short, maybe long session is we are going to teach you 4 things to never do when selling your crafts. And the reason that I wanted to come on here is it's October. Okay, my friends, it's October. We are gearing up for the holiday season. And there's so many of you that have said to me, Tanner, I want your help selling my crafts. I know I can sell my crafts, but I have this thought or I have this issue that I cannot work through. So today I want to go through 4 things to never do when selling your crafts. And a lot of these are going to address, I think, a lot of people here that are struggling to get started. So if that's you, my friend, if you find yourself not able to get started selling your crafts, you are in the right place. And I'm super excited to spend the next few minutes with you. So let's dive in to number 1. And the number 1 thing that you should never do when selling your crafts. Are y'all ready for this? Are y'all ready? Because I'm ready. You should not let the term being oversaturated be the reason you don't bet on yourself. All right? This is like the number 1 thing I hear people tell me all the time is, Tanner, it's saturated. It's saturated. I can't sell my crafts. It's saturated. And what I want to tell you, my friend, is that chances are here today, what's happened is that you have been the one to look around the internet and say, there's so many people selling crafts online. There's so many people selling their crafts online, right? Has that been you? Is that your thing holding you back? That you're sitting here saying, oh my goodness, there's just so many people out there selling their crafts. There's not room for me. Do you know what that's actually doing, my friend? What I see actually happening when you tell me that is you're actually saying, you know what? I don't want to bet on myself. So what I want to allow you to do today is I want to allow you to have the thought, what would happen if I succeed? What would happen if I bet on myself? Y'all, at the end of the day, we can only control what we can control. So I'm not saying there might not be someone selling something similar to you in your town, but my town has 40,000 people living there. And if there's 5 people making t-shirts and selling them, guess what? There's room for you too. There's room for you too. Okay, so if you're willing to say, it's oversaturated, I'm not even going to do it, that's just looking at the worst case, right? That's just looking at the worst case. You have to give equal amount of time and consideration to the best case. Because if you fall somewhere in the middle, great, right? Like this is the worst case, and we normally only say that. If we switch our thoughts and go to the best case scenario, and we look at that over here, I mean, which one would you rather have, right? If it's a yes or no, I hope you would choose that you could be successful, that you know how to craft, and that people would enjoy having something you make. So that's something you can do right now, is start switching that thought and then going for it, betting on yourself. We understand that we're not going to let the thought that the market is oversaturated to keep us holding back from at least trying. All right? I would much rather you come to me and say, Tanner, I tried and I tried and I don't like the results I got, than saying, you know what, it was too oversaturated, I'm just not trying it. All right, that's number 1. Are you guys ready for number 2? Number 2 is focusing on making a bunch of stuff before selling. Never focus on making a bunch of stuff before you start selling. All right? I get to work with thousands of creatives building a business. So I know what you are thinking about and what you're struggling with probably more than you do. You probably are sitting there and you're thinking, how is Tanner inside my head? I've spent many years doing this work and I love it. I love getting to help people see what is possible for themselves in betting on themselves and building a business online through their crafts as a passion. And what happens when people come to me saying, Tanner, I just don't have enough stock. Debbie's saying that she needs more than 25 tumblers before she's even go put herself out there. And Debbie, sorry to put you on the spot, Debbie. Sorry. It just fits perfectly for this example. When you tell me that, I think you are more so scared to put yourself out there than doing what's comfortable for you, which is crafting, right? Crafting is comfort. Crafting in your craft room, you got your music playing, you're making these tumblers. If you're part of Maker University, here's your mug. You're making all these mugs, you're doing all the work, and you're just preparing to sell your crafts. Guess what? I don't think you should never do that. I would rather you take one tumbler that is amazing, right? Your best tumbler, and you sell that one. And what you're going to do is you're going to make your listing, you're going to put it out there on Etsy, you're going to put it out there on the Facebook, you're going to start telling your friends and family you can make tumblers, and you're going to see how that response is. Now, you might get a ton of orders. Then you're going to have to balance what to do. And I want to open it up to the possibility that you do get some orders. And what I would recommend is to say, hey, this is 2 or 3 weeks out. 2 or 3 weeks, that's plenty of time for you to make those tumblers, right? There's no reason to make a bunch of things before you deem it successful or before there's a need, right? That's preparing for something that hasn't happened yet. And another thing that I want you all to be aware of, just think about, is that when you are out there and you're saying, I don't want to put myself out there, I'm afraid I'm going to get too many orders. I'm afraid I'm going to get too many orders. My friend, that's counterintuitive, because until you put yourself out there, you're actually not going to get a single order. You're actually not going to get a single order. And what I want you to know is that if we could go back to that number one where we're going to bet on ourselves, guess what? If for some reason you were bombarded with orders, if I came to your doorstep and I said, hey, I need 100 of your top selling product, and I can, I'm going to pay full price. I'm not asking for a discount. I know for a fact that we're all creatives in this group, that we are all amazing people, that we're going to figure out a way to do it. Whether we have to rush order supplies, whether we have to recruit our friends and family to help us fulfill the order, I think we could do it. I think we could do it. Do you all think you could do it? I think you could. I know you could, because you are creatives and you're willing to figure it out. That's how we live our lives. Like, it's so good. So I love to say, just to put yourself out there locally, to put yourself out there on the Facebook and see what happens, just to start some traction. And then I recommend Etsy. I have a video coming out soon that talks all about what to do to get started with Etsy and why I think Etsy is still great for beginners to start selling, and it is so good. So, are y'all ready for number 3? Are you ready for number 3? Number 3, never do this when selling your crafts, is do not people please. And what I mean from this is, when I say do not be a people pleaser is I want you to make your decisions from a business standpoint, not from the standpoint of you as a person. I want you to limit your people pleasing to the business, right? Because there's a difference from being a people pleaser and having extraordinary customer service. And people get it confused so quickly. All right? So I don't want you to just bow down to every customer's request because you feel like you have to. I want to let you know it's okay to have a line in the sand. It's okay to have a boundary there. And more than that, I want you to agree to deadlines that are actually not going to hurt your quality. Okay? So if someone calls you tonight and say, hey, I need something by the end of day tomorrow, and you don't have that capacity, I want you to say no. Because a lot of you want to serve so many people, and I love that for you, and I think that's amazing. But if it comes at hurting your physical health, your mental health, like anything like that, your capacity to serve, if it hurts that, then you're not doing what you set out to do originally, right? You're not achieving that, and you're sacrificing your quality, which means they may not reorder, they may not recommend you, and it really hurts you in the long run. So I want you to be okay with not people pleasing. Can we make that agreement? Yes, it is okay to say no and say enough is enough. And I think number 3 and number 4 will complement each other, so get ready for that. You guys are going to love it. Number 4, there's a lot of people here that need to hear this. So you might be here and be like, this is why I'm here, right? Like there's a reason you're here. I truly believe it. This is number 4. And number 4 is don't price from scarcity, price from abundance. I'm going to say it again, and then we're going to dive in. Don't price from scarcity, price from abundance. All right, my friends, let's dive into that. So, a lot of you here are saying, I'm scared to price too high. I'm scared to price at all. I'm scared to value myself. All of these things, very similar to number 1, where you're saying, the market is oversaturated, right? What those two things are telling me is that you are living life from scarcity. So if you're over here in this bucket where you're like, okay, there's too many people online, there's too many crafters selling their crafts, it's oversaturated. It's the same thing as over here where you're like, I'm scared they can't afford it. I'm scared that, this is going to be too expensive. What you're really telling me is that you believe in scarcity. You're not living from abundance. And that could be so many different reasons why, but it's good to know and it's good to call this out so that the next time you have that thought, you can say, whoa, I don't want to have that thought. We get to choose our thoughts. So if you can able to identify that's a scarcity thought, I don't have to claim that. I'm leaving that. I'm choosing abundance. So when you start thinking from abundance, you know that you can, that you can actually sell your crafts online because there's people starting today and doing it. So there's abundance for this person and you can have abundance too. The same way over here. Let's look at, Tiffany & Co. sells like $1,000 pen or, silly stuff. Silly stuff. It is crazy at the amount of abundance that is available in this world, right? So I know for a fact that you can price your t-shirt at $30 instead of $15, right? Like, have you ever had that thought where you're like, okay, the shirt's $6, how much can I pay myself? This and that, and you are like, oh, but it would be really great, since I work so hard on like the pressing and like the design, to pay myself 30, but nobody's gonna bite at that, so I'm just gonna do 15. Have you ever had that thought? Because I have. I have been there. And I want you to know that your price is actually going to kind of bring you the customer you want. And the customer you want, in my opinion, is the customer that is not looking for the cheapest. If you're looking for the cheapest, don't come to me. Like, right? Like, that's my mindset. If you're looking for the cheapest, don't compare, like, just don't. Like, if that's your only thought is the cheapest, we don't want those customers, because they're just wanting to say, how much can you give me? Like, how much can I take? Instead of, how can I support your business and things like that, right? Like, that's just not feasible. So, all right, my friends, those are the 4 things to never do when selling your crafts. We're always talking about the crafts that you should sell, but the conversation we really need to have is all about the projects you should never, ever sell. Are you guys ready for it? Let's go ahead and jump in. If you guys are new here, my name is Tanner Bell, and welcome to the Makers Gonna Learn YouTube channel. I help people all over the world learn and master their Cricut machine. Our team here is dedicated to help you guys love your machine, and we even help people go a step further and start selling their Cricut creations. If you have never sold before and you're interested, check out my free workshop right down below. It's a top-rated workshop. Thousands upon thousands of people have taken it and got pages and pages of value of notes from it, so I think you will too. In today's video, I'm gonna go over everything about projects that you should never sell. A lot of you may need to audit your crafts that you're selling right now, and this may surprise you and you may wanna stop selling some of them. So this may happen. If you guys are ready, let's go ahead and jump right in to the projects you should never, ever sell. If you guys have been around our YouTube channel anytime, you guys know we are very friendly with going to the Dollar Tree. We're constantly there. But one thing I want to offer to you is, if you're starting to sell your crafts, guess what? The Dollar Tree is not the #1 place you should be going to make and sell projects, okay? If you are constantly gravitating towards blanks, projects from the Dollar Tree, supplies from the Dollar Tree, things like that, you are probably not going to really be able to sell that well, right? We want to teach you guys how to sell quality projects. And when you love making things from the Dollar Tree, believe me, I love making things from the Dollar Tree. So this is not a hit at Dollar Tree. I love Dollar Tree, but we are running a successful business, right? When you're running a successful business, your #1 stop should not be the Dollar Tree, especially when it's to make projects like this one right here. This is a project I made as a Christmas countdown. Perfect for a family affair, perfect for your personal use, honestly, even perfect to gift to people. But when you're selling, you want to be really curious and worried about how well it will hold up, because the way you take care of something is not the same as your customer. And you have to remember that they may be really hard on their projects. They may be really hard on their shirts. They may be really hard on anything. So you really want to think about how it could mess up, instead of, oh, I've had this for a year, it's never bothered me, I'm going to start selling it. Because you take pride in your project, you take pride in your work, and it's really easy for you to take care of something. But if someone doesn't have that pride and that care, they're not going to take care of it the same way. So I really want to encourage you to stay away from Dollar Tree projects, especially metals like this one, which is a pizza pan, because this is really easy to chip. Even though we've used chalk paint, we've done everything we can to make it as permanent and work as well as possible, this right here, in most people's home, probably would not hold up, especially if it's falling off the counter, if the kids are getting it, the dog's scratching it, right? It could scratch right off. So we want you to be aware of that, because the #1 thing you have to think about when your customer has a mistake, or they've ruined a project, who does that fall back on? You. It falls back on you as the seller. So when we are talking about projects that you should never sell, I really want you to be careful and be very mindful about what blanks you choose to sell from the Dollar Tree and what projects that you are creating that are incorporating Dollar Tree items. I'm not saying no project could be made from the Dollar Tree. I just want you to be very, very mindful of what type of projects you're willing to sell that stems from items at the Dollar Tree. Next up is any craft that takes more time than they are worth. This is the hardest thing to get through people's head when I'm teaching them all about a concept that all crafts are not made to sell. What? People constantly are confused by this. And I really want to go over this concept with you. If a project takes a lot of time, let's take this one right here. Is this project not amazing? I think it's beautiful. But doing these letters, unless you've mastered it, takes a lot of time, right? Awesome project, would be perfect for someone out there. It would be amazing. But chances are, for you to get paid what it's worth, for you to have the blood, sweat, and tears of creating a project like this, it's probably not worth it for you to make and sell it, right? It would probably be a lot easier for you to sell 3 t-shirts and you would made a lot more money than making and selling this one time. Your hourly rate would probably go down to like $5 or $6 an hour just because it's tedious. You have to be really careful with it. There's a lot of things you have to be mindful of. So when I say not all projects are made to make and sell, or the project, takes too long than what it's worth, that means that project is not a good candidate to sell. And I want you guys to be picky, because my favorite quote when we're talking about a side hustle or starting a small business is you have an expensive hobby until you are making money, right? If you are not making money, you simply have a very expensive hobby. And that's fine. If we want to be a hobby crafter, let's be a hobby crafter. I'm here for it all day, right? But if you're wanting to be able to pay for your craft projects, if you're wanting to pay for your supplies, if you're wanting to just have some extra money coming in, I want to help you do that the easiest and the best way possible. And the way you have to do that is to really consider your desired hourly rate, how long it takes to make something, and what the supply cost is. It's very simple. And you have to make sure that you're able to pay yourself for as many hours worked at the desired hourly rate you would prefer. For example, if this project took me 2 hours to make from start to finish, and I wanted to make $20 an hour, this project would now cost me $40 in labor and probably another $10 in supplies. This letter would now cost $50 for Tanner Bill to make and sell. If I cannot sell this letter for $50, it is not worth me selling it, because I could earn $20 making a sublimation project real fast, making a Cricut t-shirt real fast, doing a letterboard real fast. There's so many other ways for me to earn the wages I want. If you are struggling with the concept of making the money that you desire, I really want you to take my free workshop. We go over this, we talk about it in detail, and it's really important. And I want you to know that there's so much opportunity out there for you. You just have to find it. So if you are trying to sell something like a quilt, like a really hard to make 3D project, anything like that, and you're not getting the results, you're not making the money, I want you to consider to start making projects that fit your criteria for your desired hourly wage. Your rate can be whatever you want it to be, and as you get more skilled, that price will naturally increase. That's the goal. So I want you to consider that and to stop selling projects that take too long to make it and price yourself out of the market. Next up are projects that are not easily able to ship. Now, of course, you are able to have a local market and you're able to make and sell things locally, but we want to look big picture for you. So if you're an amazing paper flower artist, how in the world, if you blew up on Instagram, right, on YouTube, on TikTok, and someone from the other side of the country wanted to buy from you, how would you be able to ship this beautiful art project, right? It's a little trickier and there would be a lot more work involved in figuring out how to do this. And if you're a paper flower artist, chances are you don't know what you don't know about shipping across the country. So I really want to encourage you guys to be mindful about the items that you're selling that are not made to ship well. You want your project to be able to ship well and be able to do your best work. Selling a beautiful plant like this would not be as possible as selling a beautiful project like this for a nursery. Think about how many people constantly are decorating nurseries, having babies for the first, second, third time, who knows how many times, and that they're wanting to decorate their nursery with some really fun items. This is something that you are easily able to make and sell because it ships really easily. It's super lightweight. And if you didn't know, one of the biggest costs when it comes to shipping is the weight of the item. So if you're trying to sell this, the pot is very heavy. The flowers are probably going to be destroyed in the shipping. It just doesn't make as much sense as selling something like this. Okay, so you really want to be mindful about, does it ship well? Can I ship this well? I know I'm making it right now locally, but when I start trying to sell it to other states and different areas in the country, how well will it really ship? These are questions you need to ask yourself, and you want to make sure that you can get a check mark saying, hey, this ships really well. Last but not least, I think I would love to say that I shouldn't have to say this, but I think it has to be said. Be sure to not sell anything you would not buy for yourself. I know. I have students constantly come to me saying, Tanner, I don't know why my projects are selling. And I simply ask them, why do you think it's not selling? And you wouldn't believe the responses I get. People are telling me, oh, I didn't do a good job, or oh, it's not really like something I would buy. And I'm like, if you would not buy it, do not try to sell it. You're kidding yourself. You're kidding me and yourself, right? So be sure to be careful and be mindful about selling things that you are super proud of. If you are not proud and confident in your project and your pricing, you will not be able to sell it. The way you're going to show up to sell these items is not going to be 100% because you know deep down that you aren't confident in your pricing, you're not confident in the project. So be on the lookout for projects like this one. This is a project that we have done a lot of testing on, and you can see like it's had lots of ghosting. It's had like, you know, the back is like totally messed up, like things like that. If I was a seller, I would not sell this because it's not my best work. I could easily make one of these so much better, so much easier, and you need to know that line. Does that mean sometimes you're going to have to write a loss on something to respect your integrity and your brand? 100%. That's what it takes to be a top-level seller, is you know where that line is, because your customer is going to constantly be able to know, like, and trust you enough to trust all of their support and all of their projects in your hands. All right? So if you're ready to start learning how to sell better than you ever have before, take my free workshop down below. It's my 5 secrets to making money crafting, even if you haven't sold before. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We love covering the topic of selling your crafts, and I would love to teach you how to master your Cricut machine. If you guys have any questions, drop them down below, and I've put 2 videos right here that you need to go check out next because they're all about selling too. So see you guys in the next one.